the journey of recording podcast and recording the stories of individual who are working in the field of education, alternative education is still on, and we are grateful again to all our supporters and the people who crowdfunded this podcast. And we are here in Pune, and we are recording some of the amazing stories from Pune and individuals who are working in the field of education. And today I have Shulbha with me, and Shulbha is working in the field of alternative education for last more than 10 years, and today we will hear her story. So thank you. It's raining outside in Pune, and Shulbha has traveled from a long distance. Thank you so much for joining us today, and how you are feeling.
Thank you so much, Saurav, basically for inviting me over here, because there are very few people who actually follow the alternative path. So this is going to be like an amazing talk show. So let's see how it goes.
Wonderful. So let's start how you started your journey into the field of alternative education. कहाँ से शुरू हुआ, कैसे शुरू हुआ, क्या है उसके पीछे की कहानी?
Okay, so actually this started long back. So my journey in education started when I was just 16. So I was working as a teacher in the same organization where I studied. And my sir always felt that, there is a potential, you should try it out. And that is the first year that he gave me directly 12th standard. So when I started that was an amazing time because I was just a fresher. I just completed my 12th and I knew so much about the content that he had given me. And I was able to deliver. That year was wonderful also for another reason because I had 82 students that time. And out of 82, there were about 75 who were above 90. So it was a very big boost for me. And I thought that, yes, this is something that I can do. After that, I completed my graduation. While completing my graduation and post-graduation, I was still teaching a lot of students, underprivileged students as well. After which, I completed my post-graduation in life sciences. And I always felt that, I will get into research work. But somehow my heart was still at education. I couldn't move forward from there. So I thought, okay, let me complete my B.Ed and let's see where this path leads. Even when I was doing microbiology, I was still doing as an honorary teacher only. So somewhere I felt that, teaching is my calling. And even if I'm doing any other field, I would always be interested over there. So that's how my journey began. I started with smaller schools. I taught first with a state board school, then moved on to a CBSE, then moved to an IG. So basically, I'm thankful that I got experience in most of the boards. Then came the turning point of my marriage and my kid followed. So when his education journey was about to start, so typically in India we always feel that बच्चा 2 साल का हो गया तो चलो अभी उसको प्री स्कूल देखना स्टार्ट करो. So we were similar parents, so we started our journey and we were thinking, okay, what is it that we want? So we sat down. We were not in a hurry, honestly, to look for a preschool immediately. So we started off and we were thinking, okay, contemplating कि क्या चाहिए हमें education system से. And my husband was like, okay, since you are there already in the education system, let's first jot down what we don't want. So we sat down one night and we put down all the points that we don't want. And we came to know that most of the points that we didn't want our child to go through were all a part of conventional education. That's when our journey to explore different pedagogies started. And we said कि अच्छा ठीक है अगर हमें conventional इतना पसंद नहीं आ रहा है and that is something that we don't want for our kid, then it is important that we find alternative. And that time, honestly, we didn't know there is anything existing like a homeschooling or anything. But after that, it triggered that thought of, curiosity to find out that, okay, और कोई लोग हैं जो ऐसा हमारे जैसा सोचते हैं और are we the odd men out? And, that kind of a thing started off. And we started researching. Then...
And this is which time, which year?
2007.
2007.
Yeah,
Okay.
2007 we started off with this. And that time we stumbled upon Swashikshan. So one night when Vinay came back, he said, you know what, I found something very interesting. There is some organization called as Swashikshan. And when I read about them, I found that they are all doing self-learning. I was like, wow, this is amazing. But the hurdle came up when we were not able to get in touch with anybody. Somehow we got contact of Urmila Sampson. She added us to the group. And when we entered into the group, we just felt like an outcast because the discussions were at a very different level and our questions were very trivial. And we started feeling out of place, honestly. It was very difficult for us to understand कि हो क्या रहा है या हम इसमें fit है भी या नहीं. When we spoke to some senior members, they said that no, you are a working mother, you're a working father, आप तो homeschooling कर ही नहीं सकते हो. So that discouraged us even further. But we said, okay, let's hold on, let's see what happens. बच्चा अभी छोटा है, ऐसा कुछ, his age is not going anywhere. Let's just see how it goes off from there. Then when we came up with one organization which was called as Montessori Methods. So we visited that school. And when I visited that school, she was like very warm, very nice to talk to, that lady. So she explained us what the Montessori concept was. From that time, I started researching more about it. I also took some online trainings on Montessori. And I found that the puzzles of the Montessori techniques were very interesting because my kid loved playing with puzzles. So what the best part about those puzzles were, they were self-correcting puzzles. So if a piece didn't fit into, I didn't have to tell him. He could just gauge it by himself that, okay, this is not fitting. So he tried, changing the orientation or something like that. I also found that there was a lot of tactile involvement in those things because everything had to do with pincher grip, everything had to do with kinesthetic mode. And that time he was a super active kid. So मतलब वो किसी के हाथ में ही नहीं आता था. So with such a kid, to ask him to stay in one place itself would have been a big challenge. So we tried out Montessori for quite some time. While studying about Montessori, I also came to know about Reggio Emilia. And I have a very strong inclination towards art. And Reggio Emilia concept also has a lot to do with art. The way they used to arrange the colors, so there was a particular theme that I had done with him, which I still remember till date, was a color theme, wherein they had told that, everything that is of a particular color, you put it all together in a stack. And that helped him understand shades very well. So we started learning about shades. So at that time, when he was like, I think 2, he could actually name the shades as well. So that was a very interesting thing, just by, identifying only red, but red may be kitne variations ho sakta hai. So that idea I really loved of Reggio Emilia. Also, another concept that we stumbled upon was Waldorf. Waldorf was another very strong art integrated because their philosophy was that, every concept should be introduced through a blackboard artwork. And that's a very strong teaching point. As a teacher, I'm saying. So that was something that was very interesting because we had that party pencil, So we started using that and, creating art. And I used to draw something and my child used to try to imitate. So I never taught him how to catch a pencil. Or I never taught him कि अच्छा ऐसे पकड़ना है या उसके related exercises, because I gave him that, chalk and a slate. He was able to do most of the stuff that way. Of course, he still hates writing. I mean, that's a different story altogether. But that is how it was there. And also another thing that I felt about Waldorf was a lifestyle. It is not just a curriculum because they are so close to art. They are so close to nature. They have so much to do with gardening, and we had a huge garden in our house. So we almost used to plant every fortnight. We had some new plant coming up. So he understood, okay, plants grow through a seed. Many children don't understand that, because they think plants. So one of a funny incident that happened just few days back was I asked one of the kid that, where does this vegetable come from? He said mall. He's not wrong because that's where he's seeing it. So we were lucky that, we had a garden and he could actually plant it. He could see that it is growing. Sometimes he saw that the plant is dying also. So that gave us a lot of encouragement to do a lot of study outdoor. In fact, there were very few times that I have ever referred to a book. I haven't. बिकॉज आई फेल नेचर इज सच अ बिग टीचर, तो हमें ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी उस चीज़ की, तो ऐसे होता गया, like curriculums kept blending, pedagogies kept coming. We started, inquiring. I think need is the biggest teacher. जैसे जैसे नीड इमर्ज होती है वैसे वैसे मज़ा आने लगता है, और हम ढूंढने लगता है चीज़ें, एंड हमें मिलते गए. When I was, thinking about nature, I saw one pedagogy which is Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason writes beautiful books as to how to use your kitchen garden as one of the important teaching aids. So, unki philosophy I started using, which was, I think, a game changer for me. बिकॉज माई सन वॉज एन आउटडोर चाइल्ड. बहुत रेयरली वो घर में पाया जाता था. 90% ऑफ द टाइम्स ही वॉज विथ स्टिक्स एंड ही वॉज क्लाइंबिंग ट्रीज. सो विद दैट काइंड ऑफ अ बैकग्राउंड आई फेल्ट कि इसके एनर्जीज को चैनलाइज करना हो तो मुझे घर के बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा, एंड आई विल हैव टू बी अराउंड वेयर ही इज एन्जॉइंग द मोस्ट. And through the garden we came to know. So that time he was absolutely fearless. मतलब इंसेक्ट पकड़ना है, कुछ भी पकड़ना है, डर ही नहीं था किसी चीज़ का. सो ही स्टार्टेड कलेक्टिंग इंसेक्ट्स, ही स्टार्टेड कलेक्टिंग स्टिक्स, ही स्टार्टेड कलेक्टिंग रॉक्स. वो अभी तक छूटा नहीं है, अभी भी वो चालू है. ही इज़ 13, ऑलमोस्ट रीचिंग 14 नाउ, बट he still does that. So that helped him understand more about how insects are. You wouldn't believe, Saurav, he used to spend hours just watching the ant. And I used to think, कि इतना क्या देख रहा है, and he came up, Mama, when one ant goes here and it is carrying something, so many ants are following. Now they have made holes over here. So this is their house, so all those observations were very rewarding because it was teaching him a very important skill set, that is observation. And plus he was making connections by himself. I was not leading him to that. So when we talk primarily pedagogical, this is what we call as constructive pedagogy. So constructivist means where the child is making his own connections without any help. So that is how our journey was, and it still is. Of course, with time and his age, certain things have changed, and his interests have changed. But yeah, these were predominantly his younger age group pedagogies that we were following.
So while hearing, I was also thinking कि आपने एक phase की बात की when you were shifting from as a mainstream parent to the alternative forms. Now I think this is a extremely important phase for all the parents when often we find them confused. They want to shift to the alternative, but they are feared, they are confused. They often make a lot of misunderstanding about homeschooling or unschooling or different pedagogies. So I just want to understand, right now you are working for so long with children, parents, the entire community. Naturally you face this kind of situation as well, right? So what statement comes from you when you hear such kind of difficulties?
So honestly, all their fears, anxiety, sort of are very real. Very real. I mean, I wouldn't blame any parent to ask me the same question 10 times because we have been in that state and we have seen how our nights used to be. I and Vinay used to have sleepless nights because we come from doctor family, both sides. So, the pressure from family itself was so huge that, okay, you're doing something against the tide and बच्चे का नुकसान कर देगी, and somewhere as parents, we don't want to falter, especially with our kids. So, when it comes to parents who are confused, I would strongly recommend that you do what you think is right for your kid. Very strongly. Community, yes, plays another very important role because getting the information from the right people is crucial. Having said that, what you research and what your intelligence says, do that. Because no two families can be the same. Like my situation to homeschool was totally different because I came from education background and I thought कि अच्छा this is not making sense to me. But किसी और का होगा कि नहीं मुझे इतना पैसा नहीं बर्बाद करना है. या किसी और का होगा कि मेरा टूरिंग जॉब है. सो यू नो वी आर ऑल कमिंग फ्रॉम डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड. सो वन सजेशन विल नॉट बी applicable for all. So I strongly recommend that we need to research as parents that what is it that is going to work for my family dynamics. Because honestly, we stayed with our in-laws. So, you know, we had a support. We had grandparents who were educated. So they were able to even take care when I was busy for 2 hours. Like there was still some give and take of knowledge. But not every family is that privileged. You know, sometimes they might be staying alone, like only husband, wife, and kid. So you need to see what suits. Not that, you know, my kid has not been in a crash. He has, because when I was a full-time working mother, so there were circumstances where six hours also I had to put him in a crash. But it is manageable because though in homeschooling the biggest part is 24 hours are in your hand. So teaching can happen, learning can happen at any given point. So my strong recommendation to such parents who are on this verge, you know, whether they want to choose between mainstream to alternate, I feel just trust your instincts. If something is calling you, that means it's for you. So just take the leap of faith and things will fall in place. And you know, it's like, you know, how we say na ki universe ko aapne chhod diya, to universe makes provisions for certain things to come up. You know, you just leave it up to the Lord. Just say that I'm taking this leap of faith and just trust him blindly and he will make ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you said कि you have to do your own research. Can you go a little deeper into that कि कितना समय देना चाहिए? क्योंकि often we see because the parents are coming from the mainstream, they want to switch quickly. क्योंकि उनका वही फियर रहता है कि यार स्कूल छूट रहा है, बच्चा घर पे बैठा है, सो दे ऑल्सो वांट टू शिफ्ट टू एनी ऑल्टरनेटिव फॉर्म एज सून एज पॉसिबल, है ना? सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ टाइम और रिसर्च दे नीड टू पुट इनटू टू गेट द राइट आंसर्स?
I think, again, that's a relative thing for each person, but you need to take the plunge only when you are very convinced. And another important thing, your husband and you, or your wife and you, have to be on the same page. Because if there is a difference of opinion there, one person is convinced and the other is not, it's going to be every day a fight. Because, you know, then we start doing the blame game between ourselves, and that is not healthy for the child. Because, you know, he is confused na, because mama is thinking different, dada is thinking different, तो बच्चा क्या करेगा, you know, तो वो और confused हो जाएगा. So first step, that are both of you convinced about this concept. Second, how much of research have you done? Have you spoken to people? What is the opinion that they have given? What is working for your family? What would be the family dynamics? That is something. And third, very important thing, which I often tell parents is, if your child is old enough, then you should also take the consent of the child. Very important. Because so many times I've seen that parents are taking the decision on their behalf, and that's where there is a major problem coming. Because, you know, in today's generation, we have kept our children so free that they are able to question us. That, you know, I though was small, but you were big. Why didn't you stop me? Or why did you take such a decision for me? We don't want to be in that space ever. So it is a good thing that, you know, if you think that there is a reason why you want to homeschool your child, talk it out with the child. And even if they're small, I feel treat them as adults. You're also teaching them how a discussion happens. You're also teaching them a subtle way of problem solving, you know, learning about pros and cons. How do you evaluate a situation and take a decision? So even if they're younger, involve them in the decision process. That helps a lot. And our kid was so very small. He too had no say, poor thing, in all of this. But today also, when he's grown up and I ask him that, you know, do you want to go back to school? His answer is no. So in my heart, I'm like happy. So tomorrow, if he says, Mama, I want to go back to school, will I be okay? I'll be absolutely okay. Because ultimately, it's for them. It's not for you and me. You know, so help them out, help understand. And time duration, deschooling phase, especially if they were in school and you are coming back to alternate, there has to be a deschooling phase. Because at least 6 months is what I would strongly recommend for just the mindset shift. Because your mind is so, focused. See, we were schooled. So anyway, we know a pattern कि पढ़ना होता है, टेक्स्ट बुक होती है, सिलेबस कंप्लीट करना होता है, फिर एक एग्जाम होती है, फिर उसमें ग्रेड्स आता है, फिर ही हमें पता चलता है कि हमें आता है या नहीं. So that shift needs to be there, because you need to understand that not everything will be taught through books. There will be many more resources that we will be using. So this takes time. Also, sometimes, like 99% of the times, I've seen that older children, if they're out of school for a good 4 months, they don't want to do anything because they're so tired or they're so done with the schooling system sometimes that they just want to relax. So let them be. कोई 4 महीने से हल्का भारी नहीं होता है. I mean, trust me, that 4 months can be recovered in like 4 days also sometimes. So just let them be ready to take that initiative, because now that switches not only from curriculums, the switches also from being a dependent learner to an independent learner. So that needs time.
Yeah, and also the parents in that phase becomes a co-learner as well, which is very important.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now coming to my next question is, because you have been working with children, parents, and you have gone through different pedagogies as well, what is your take on how children generally learn?
Everybody learns differently. Like for some, it could just be, like I said, for my kid, it was a complete outdoor. He never liked book till date also. He says, you read it out to me and I will listen. So basic learning patterns, we all know that, there are auditory learners, there are kinesthetic, or there are visual learners. Nowadays, we have AV learners as well. In fact, most of us are AV learners. So we need to first identify what is the basic mode in which the children are learning. Second, you also need to understand that where is their happiness. Like each person has their own happiness quotient. So what is it that makes them happy is what you need to tap first. If you can tap that, then you roll the entire curriculum basis that. Like I'll give you an example. We had a kid who was autistic. I deal with a lot of special kids as well. So he came to me and he was extremely fascinated with cars. Like, if a car is passing, just by its engine sound, he could tell which brand, which model, till that depth. Now, when I started teaching him, I found that, math is his okay area, but language was very poor. Now, I started incorporating cars in the picture. The minute I took cars, he could write an essay on it. So that's how, I started doing vocabulary building, all that only through cars. So this is what I mean, if you can identify the happiness quotient and then revolve the curriculum around it, that will increase their liking, or say even, their the threshold for which they can sit, that can also be increased. Another very important observation would be their the time is very important. Like, see, not everybody is active at the same time. So if we can identify that, okay, morning time he is lazy and he doesn't want to do, but by afternoon his learning ability is really, they are very active. That is when we need to tap them. Because you'll often see, like I feel so bad, when I see school children 6:30 in the morning in the buses, half asleep. And they're going to reach school at 8. How do you expect them to be attentive at that time? So let them have a good night's sleep. Let's see what is the time period. Like for my kid, personally, he is the most active in the evenings. So after 7, his activity is highest. So I know that even if I'm going to sit for 4 hours in the morning, nothing is going to go into his head. So might as well I sit from 7 to 9 in the night. I know that, this 4 hours job is going to be done. So that is something that we also need to understand when we are talking about the learning process. Because there are too many elements. It's a very dynamic thing. And it changes from person to person.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very interesting example that you gave. कि सुबह बच्चे जो बस में जाते हैं आधे नींद में होते हैं, लेकिन कुछ बच्चे ऐसे भी होते हैं जो सुपर एक्साइटेड होते हैं कि मैं स्कूल में जा रहा हूँ. है ना? Very interesting. Okay. Okay. So culminating all your interest, experience, what exactly you are doing? You have an academy, you have a center. So can you talk a little bit about that and what you are facilitating in that academy?
So we run an organization exclusively for homeschoolers, which is called as Sandbox Academy. we started off as a physical center, a learning space, but Pune traffic. So with that, long before COVID, we switched to hybrid mode. Hybrid mode meaning twice in the week the children used to come travel from different parts of Pune, and they used to come to my center. And remaining time, I used to give them activity sheets and I used to meet them online. That time, WhatsApp call was what I was looking at. After that, we switched to Zoom. So when pandemic hit, it was a big blessing because we had our systems in place. That was the major advantage that took place. Now, what we used to do in that system was it didn't have, so we still are a bookless school till grade 8. After grade 8 is where we actually start using books.
So it's a school. You were saying it's a school.
It's not really a school.
Okay.
You can't. It's a learning space.
Learning
you could call
space.
it as a learning space. Okay, because we are not affiliated to anything.
Okay.
We do have Oxford affiliation from grade 6 to grade 8, but we have just taken it for our convenience because there has to be a progression. So how we look at it is from grade 1 to grade 5. First of all, we don't have grades. We have blocks, which is a mixed age group classroom. So typically a child who is say 5.5 to 7.5, 8 is in block 1. Then we have block 2, then we have block 3. Now why this particular model is because, see, as learning we are talking about, right? Everybody learns at their own pace. So we don't want to rush a child and we don't want to expedite also. So this mixed age group works brilliant because a child say is taking time to understand a concept should not feel judged. That suppose if he was in grade 2 and he didn't know grade 1, then that would have become a tagline for him that, oh, he's a slow learner or he doesn't get the concepts very easily. So we don't want that. We want the child to live freely out of all these burdens. So we decided that, okay, let it be a mixed age group. And also another thing we've learned is children learn from peers very well. So, if an elder bhaiya is putting the same story, children will remember it because bhaiya has told, unlike a teacher. So this worked very beautifully. So the elder kids were helping the younger ones learn concepts. The younger ones were learning a lot from the elders and also teaching them a few things. So what the elders learned, many people ask me this question, what do the elders learn? Like, ठीक है, छोटे बच्चे तो सीखे. मैंने बोला elders ने ये सीखा, slow down. उनके साथ चलने के लिए आपको स्लो होना पड़ेगा. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट ट्रेट होता है जिंदगी में, टू जस्ट स्लो डाउन अ बिट. वी आर ऑलवेज इन अ रश. तो दैट हेल्प्ड द एल्डर किड्स, उनमें वो एक कामनेस आ गया, छोटे बच्चे को संभालने की एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आ गई, सो डेवलपिंग एम्पैथी हैपेंड नेचुरली. We didn't have to take any special lessons for that, So that was one thing. Then from till grade 5, we designed the curriculum, and most of this curriculum is thematic. Again, another concept which we strongly feel about is that education should not be compartmentalized to subject. It should be free flowing, and everything is related to everything else. So tomorrow, if I'm boarding a bus, I should not feel that, oh, am I applying physics or is it maths? It's everything, right? It's a bit of everything that you're applying, because when money comes into perspective, you're buying a ticket, you're actually using mathematics. The way the bus is moving, it's motion, it's physics. So, and you're talking to people, so it's language. So we believe that every concept should be integrated and put forth in a child as a package, not as subjects. So till grade 5, there are no subjects. It's only thematic that we do. Then 6th to 8th, just recently we have started doing Oxford curriculum with them, because we saw that most of our children are wanting to go abroad and they need a systematic approach, because IGCSE curriculum doesn't come like so easily. So it is nice to introduce it at a younger level. But having said that, they still have a flexibility to do NIOS. So that's an option. And grade 8 onwards, so in grade 8, that's our most crucial year. That's because we do career counseling at that stage. We don't want any child to go and select a board aimlessly. Because for choosing a board also, there is a method. It cannot be random selection. Because, if you are going abroad, then not everybody recognizes an NIOS degree. So IGCSE is a far more better choice. Also because of the curriculum design. Because they are very research oriented, very application based. So अगर आपको फॉरेन जाना है तो आपको ये समझ में आना चाहिए कि एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड स्टडी करना पड़ेगा मुझे, नॉट rote learning. That's not going to help. So that is our most crucial here. We do a proper 14 sessions with the parent and the child. We do SWOT analysis. We understand where their strengths and weaknesses are. We do brainstorming. We finalize sort of like 5 careers for them, and basis that we help them choose the subjects. Once your subjects are chosen, your board is finalized. Then their 9th and 10th standard, 2 years we require to do any curriculum, whether it is IGCSE or NIS. 2 years is what we take. And then the child can decide, again, no pressure, whenever they feel ready. 6 months before that, they let us know that, okay, I think I'm now ready. Done a lot of mocks, done a lot of revision. Then they will give the papers. That's how we function.
Wonderful. Even the name is very interesting, Sandbox. Is there a story behind it?
Yes, there is. So sandbox represents a sand pit actually. So the idea is that whenever we observe anybody in a sand, what do you see them doing? They'll always try to create something, right? So we wanted our organization where children would be the creators of something tomorrow. So that's why the name Sandbox. So the tagline is where imagination takes shape. So that's what we wanted our organization to be, that not just bookish knowledge but creators of future. So that's the story.
Is your own child a part of this academy?
Yes.
And what kind of a strength you have in this academy? And can you talk about the team members who are taking up different responsibilities?
So we have about 100 kids now across, like from first grade to 12th. We are looking at, and we are a team of about 8 teachers, faculty, me and my husband included. So the senior teachers all are qualified with IGCSE, as well as we in our own domains are experts in their own field, coming from rich backgrounds in education. The lower grade teachers some of them are homeschooling mums themselves, so they understand the process very well. And also our selection criteria for the teachers is very different. Like, we don't ask for resume from them. We ask them to just come and spend a day with us and see whether they are liking the system, because honestly their experience is not going to matter to us, because our children are different. And for our children, we need different type of teachers. So that's how the criteria is.
Wonderful. So, Shulbha, tell me one thing that, being in this space of alternative education, there must have been a lot of challenges in your journey. So can you talk about your challenges throughout this 1 decade of your working time?
So that's why, when we started off, it was like, okay, पहले सिर्फ worksheets दिए गए, फिर बच्चे ने वो किया, फिर सिर्फ 10 मिनट के लिए हम उनसे WhatsApp पे बात करने लगे. So it gradually grew to a proper 1 hour of interaction through a Zoom platform. So that was a stage by stage progression. But till date also, many parents feel, in fact, with a lot of online schools that have come up, parents always feel the challenge that 6 hours in front of screen is going to be very challenging, which indeed it is. So when we thought of completely moving to, online space, we did a lot of research in terms of what is an ideal time for a child to sit without actually hampering his, eyesight or his mental well-being, because mental well-being is very important. So we realized that, 2 hours is more than enough. So we run an organization right now only for 2 hours, even till date. So that was a very thought and research particular solution that we came up with, because more than that, if you're doing, the child loses interest, and then because it's a laptop or a digit, he is going to switch tabs and start playing games, and we don't want that. So attention span should be such. Another challenge was that, okay, when we were deciding on how many subjects should we do per day, क्योंकि sometimes, a topic used to be so interesting कि हम 2-2 घंटे कैसे निकल जाते थे, we used to not understand. So we thought, okay, not more than 2 subjects per day should be the target. So that's how we have kept our model. And of course, it's everyday improvements only. One of the major challenge, not related to online schooling, but in general with homeschooling community or our children, basically is the choice of subjects. because they come from such diverse backgrounds with so many interest areas. Sometimes, as a facilitator or provider, it becomes very difficult for us to cater to needs of everybody. So wherein our initial idea was to make an umbrella body wherein, we provide them everything, because what I realized as a homeschooling mom was that when I am enrolling him for different classes, it was getting way too much budget wise, I'm saying. So people often have this misconception that homeschooling means paisa bachega, but actually double jata hai. So that was why I had this initial thought that no, I need to put everything under one umbrella. But uh, the flexibility that we want to enjoy as homeschoolers, it was getting very difficult, because today a child wants to do a particular subject, after 2 months he doesn't want to do. So my major challenge till date also sometimes is this choice of so many subjects can get really taxing at times, because we have to find proper tutors, plus they have to meet our criteria, because they are dealing with homeschooling children. So this is a major challenge which we face as an organization, and also with our own kids. Every day their choices change. So my one suggestion to parents is that we have to learn to say no at some point, that it cannot be always changing, because that also leads to a very unstable mind. And somewhere we are teaching them that it's okay to be so finicky. So we need to be putting our foot down at some point and saying, no, this is it that we have decided. Or I'm giving you these 6 months to explore as many possibilities, but uske baad aap, come to a decision. Because indecisiveness or, constantly changing is not a good attitude to have. Even when we are talking about their future, tomorrow they are going to be in a job setting or even their own enterprise. They cannot keep bouncing off ideas and changing at every point. That way stability will get affected. So this is one challenge that I really wanted to put forth, that we need to help them understand, choose in a very informed manner. So yes, choice will be given, but take a proper decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And also when we come to digital education, yeah, online school, there are a lot of things that are coming from a very fixed mind, very blocked or closed mind, that online schooling means only learning through the screen. So can you also throw some light on this key? What exactly does digital education or online school mean? And it is वो भी हो सकता है, that's also a possibility.
Yeah. So one major advantage which I feel with digital education is the world is coming closer. So in our organization, we have kids who are from Malaysia, we have them from Dubai, we have from Philippines as well. Now there is so much of cultural interchange that happens between the kids. Like I'll give you an example. We had our Independence Day celebration where the kids attempted to do a documentary this time. And the kids who were in Malaysia, it was the very first year of their 12 or 13 years that they were in Malaysia. First time उन्होंने Indian Independence Day celebrate किया. उनको ये पता ही नहीं था कि वो कैसे होता है. So, it was a very nice give and take where the children were telling the story to the friend. That, Arey, you don't know? Wait, I'll tell you. So it was nice. And then another kid is from Indonesia, and Indonesia ka happens to be in the same week that ours is. So he started sharing udhar ka story. So it was a very nice cultural exchange that happened. Another kid who was in, I think they are in Doha, where they have 1 week of festivity where everybody is on street and they're doing. So she took her video camera and she was showing the children how those processions are happening, what are the different songs that they are singing. They have a typical dance step that they do. So children were able to watch all that, sitting in Pune or wherever they are. So I think this is such a great way of learning, because you're not just learning about your own culture and your own traditions, but also from outside. So it was a very nice thing to see, and where kids are helping each other to understand each other's cultures or their job setting. Like just last week, we had this one discussion about how job settings are changing today. And our elder kids were participating in this debate, and we were just trying to understand what do they think about it. And that time, they were saying ki no, in here the work culture is not like that. It's a typical 9 to 5 kind of a job setting, and then work life balance is so maintained, and here it is not maintained, like it was such a healthy discussion that was happening. I think this is only possible in a digital forum, because how many times can somebody from Dubai or Philippines travel to India and share all this? So that's not possible. Another thing that I feel became a major boon for us was our teachers are scattered across, so we could choose the best of best for our children because they don't have to travel. So today our teachers are from Goa, they're from Chennai. One of our teachers is from US as well, who is connecting with us online. So this flexibility also our children are enjoying. Another thing that I feel, today the world is moving towards digital age. And in fact, we are in the digital age today. So with that, we can't shy away and say that no, I don't want my child to do this, because it's a part and parcel of their life. It was not in our time. If it was at our time, I'm sure, weren't we glued to our TV sets? We were, na? So today they are glued to their mobile phones because that's available. Tomorrow their children may be glued to something else that is going to come up. So we can't move away from that. But let's try to look at it as a positive thing. I'll give you another example that we use very strongly. That is, we have started incorporating use of XR in our teaching patterns. Now, how does that help? Like, see, our children are not having lab facilities. Sometimes they do. In some cities, labs are available. Like in Pune, we have Muktangan, who is a great source and provides these lab facilities, but not every city has that. So we tied up with a German company, and they are providing us a virtual reality setup where I can convert this very space into a lab, and the child actually has to walk with their device, pick up a forceps, and do it. It's all in the virtual space. So exactly the way they would have done otherwise in a lab setting. So all these things are there. Plus, I can use like 3D imaging technology, wherein I'm showing them in and out of the plant cell, and I can switch dimensions. So the child is able to see 360 view of the plant cell, which otherwise on a plain paper, when you're using books, you're seeing only a 2D image. So I think these are certain very great advantages that we can use and incorporate in our learning patterns today. And ultimately, our world is, going to be headed in this direction only. So better is that we start getting equipped
Absolutely.
to use it.
And the best example that you said, you were already using a combination, a hybrid mode even before COVID. So the world understood that we need to find solutions when we have difficulties. We cannot deny, and it's not needed that we have to wait for the extreme to adopt. We can slowly adopt from, so that the pressure utna zyada nahi aaye, which is wonderful example, and you have been doing that. So okay, another thing that you mentioned some time back, that you are doing some kind of a what to say, AQA of Oxford. And can you explain that? Because somehow I missed that part, and we need to understand that.
So right now what we did is, from grade 6 to 8, we adopted Oxford International Curriculum. Now Oxford, is a brand in itself. So Oxford University Press was an organization which was completely into books and literature, all those things that they do. And Oxford AQA is basically a tie-up between AQA and Oxford. Now, what was AQA? AQA is like, if I have to give you a very simple example, जैसे India में NTA is the National Testing Agency. That means any examinations that will happen have to happen through NTA. Like that in UK, if any examinations have to happen, then they have to happen through AQA. So AQA is an examination body. तो AQA ने ऑक्सफोर्ड के साथ टाई अप कर लिया, तो उनके अलायंस को बन गया AQA, ऑक्सफोर्ड AQA. Now, what is Oxford AQA planning to do? They are trying to be a addition to IGCSE and Pearson Edexcel जो अपने पास अभी existing है, हमारे पास एक और option रहेगा, which would be Oxford AQA. Now, what Oxford AQA is, how is it different than IGCSE? One thing is that Oxford AQA believes that a child should not be tested on language skills. Now, why am I saying this? Is because if you look at today's IGCSE papers, you would understand that even if the child is giving a math paper, uska language पे command बहुत तगड़ा होना चाहिए. Otherwise, he is not able to solve. So they are actually testing language skills and then the subject skills. So Oxford believes that that should not be the case. It should be that, we should be testing them on subject knowledge. So that's why what they did, they made a repository of 3000 words, which would be a normal vocabulary. और वो 3000 words को उन्होंने use किया है to make their textbooks. So the language is so lucid, it is so easy to comprehend that a child will understand the question. मतलब उसको दिक्कत question समझने में नहीं जाएगी. So if he knows his concept, he will be able to answer that. That is one advantage. So for second language speakers like us, we are not native English speakers, right? So for us, it's a very big advantage. Another thing is huge subject choice that they have given. One of the best subjects that I love teaching in OIC, that is Oxford International Curriculum, is well-being. Right from grade 1, they have prescribed syllabus for well-being, which is a very important skill to have in today's time, because we are leading a stressful life, and for the children to understand how to cope with their own emotions is extremely important. Another very beautiful subject that they have come up with is global skills. So how to make your classroom into a global classroom is what we've learned from them, where incorporating different cultures, different scenarios from different across the world is at your feet. And so the case studies that we do with the children are from different scenarios across the world. So the children are understanding global level पे economics कैसे run करता है, trade कैसे होता है. So all these things are incorporated. And third important subject is sustainability. Again, a very, very important concept. And I'll give you an example of one of my favorite experiments that they do is understanding commons for a first grade child. How would I teach him that? So they said that, okay, apni ye jagah hai, you and I are sharing a bench. So this is a common property for you and me. So that means this world is a common space for you and me. So how much care we should take. It's such a simple concept. Like, सुनने में ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ ये तो पता था, but ये बच्चे तक पहुंचाना was very important. And then they diverted it to how different cultures emerged and how language came into being. So it was a beautiful study that we took up for 12 weeks.
Wonderful. So this is going to come in the future as another board.
Yes. So they are already doing their beta testings. We've been a part of their testings where they want to do it also digitally. So children from anywhere would be doing a proctored exam. So your eyeball movements would also be traced. And there was no chance that you can switch tabs. So, there's no scope of copying because it's going to be an online examination. So it is very important that we understand that it has to be a fair assessment. So they are taking all the necessary things and they're testing it out. They're also testing the levels that are going to suit our Indian children. Basis, if they are coming tomorrow from any other board, will they be able to adapt? So they are also coming up with some bridge courses for that. So it's a wonderful thing. It's in the pipeline. So God willing, by 25, we should be able to see Oxford EQA come up.
So I think we have covered a lot of things, lot of takings, and finally, when we come to alternative education, I think one of the most important parts are the resources. As you said, जब आपने शुरू किया था तो आपको भी confusion था कि कहाँ जाना है, किससे बात करना है. So let's end the podcast with some resources, and the idea what you shared is that not only resources which are like the books or the links, humans are very important as resources. So let's have on that. Yeah.
Right. So first thing, as we started this podcast, we discussed that it is very important that we do our own research. For that, I would strongly recommend that any parent who is wanting to get into alternate education should read John Holt's series. He has about 6 to 7 different odd books that are there, which are on how to teach your own, how do children learn, understanding the basics of homeschooling is something very important. Apart from them, there are many other homeschoolers who have written their blogs, who have their own podcasts, who have shared their journeys. You should enroll or subscribe to those YouTube channels or podcast series and listen to them, because the more we listen, कहीं ना कहीं उनमें हम दिखते हैं. एंड देन आई नो कि अच्छा ये सिचुएशन मेरे घर की सिचुएशन है. एंड देन व्हेन यू फाइंड दैट पर्सन, फॉलो दैट पर्सन एंड talk to that person, make an attempt to get in touch with them, because it's very important, as I said, that उनकी जर्नी समझना, उनको जो ऑब्स्टिकल्स आए होंगे उससे आप सीख सकते हो. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपको वही आएगी, बट एटलीस्ट यू नो कि अच्छा इसको ये दिक्कत आई थी तो हाउ शी डेल्ट विद इट. सो दैट वर्क्स वेरी ब्यूटिफुली. Apart from this, I think there are tons and tons of free resources that are available online for homeschoolers, which I think they should start exploring first. And worksheets, books are not the only things that you should do. Visit libraries, visit gardens, visit museums. Every travel of yours can be an excellent learning resource. So incorporate that in your lifestyle, and then you will see a lot of change. So these could be some of the starting points. And then, the journey unfolds itself.
Great. So the rain has stopped finally. So thank you so much, Shulbha, for joining us today, sharing all your knowledge and experiences with us. And I hope when the listeners will listen, they will have a lot to learn from your experiences. And especially on our journey, we are grateful. I mean, the way we planned this podcast series, we got crowdfunding. I think this was destined in a way that we are going to collect so many amazing stories. And somehow, maybe not today, maybe not in this year, maybe in the future, this podcast will have some sort of a value for others to learn, to understand, and also to connect. That is more important. So thank you once again, everyone. And thank you, Shulbha, once again for joining us today.
Thank you, Saurav, for having me. Thank you so much.